Hi, so someone is asking why it's so hard to get a caregiver job when you're outside of Canada. The first reason I can think of is that people do business with people they know, like, and trust. If you're not in Canada and you do not have Canadian referrals, it's very difficult for families to leave you with their mothers and fathers or a sick child because they're leaving you with someone who may have visual impairment, meaning they're not seeing what you're doing around the home. Lots of the families do not have their stuff under lock and key, so which means there's jewelry, there's money, there are lots of valuables there in the home. I once had a client said to me, "Be careful not to throw down my vase. It costs 15,000 Canadian dollars." I'm like, okay, I'll never make it fall. I stayed away from it. But yes, people have to know you, like you, and trust you. And part of that process could being them knowing you directly or having a very strong referral about the service you provide, which is what I had to fight for when I came into this market because other countries would have, set up a very good reputation in the healthcare system. And so persons coming from their countries, would have an advantage over other caregivers. So when I came into the industry, I met a few Guyanese, but I don't know much, but I did not meet a lot of Guyanese. And after working in this field, I got many reference letters stating how amazing my work was. And so I would tell everyone, yes, it's the Guyanese hospitality. And I would try to, spread the good word about my country. Now, part two is the length of time that it takes for an immigration application to be completed. It could be lengthy, and many times a client requires immediate assistance. And so it's difficult for them to wait 2, 3 years until you arrive into Canada. I'm going to give you, for example, my experience. When I needed an employer, I left my country and I came to Canada and I found my employer, which means I was here on the spot to get my interview. And, they were able to see the kind of person I was. Of course, I already had a strong referral. Like I said, I used my connection that I had with a previous university, the Hebrew University of Jerusalem. So I connected with their people on the ground in Canada. And through them, I got my referral. Once I met my client and their family in person, they just asked me one question. They said, "What can we do to keep you in Canada?" And I said, "That's it. Sponsor me." And they agreed because they like what I was bringing, my personality and everything else. They were not just looking, "Oh, can you carry my mom here? Can you lift her? Can you do this?" They also wanted someone who can really relate and provide companionship, be loving, be kind. And they had the opportunity to experience that with me in person. So yeah, those are just three things I can think of, but there are many other reasons. Yeah. But don't say that it's impossible because it's not impossible. Just follow the right accounts and read a lot on the immigration process, and that will help you. And if for some reason you do not have the time to read and follow all the guidelines, you always have the option of paying someone to get through that process. So it's not something that's impossible, but it's very challenging and it requires a lot of time. So, all the best.